The chandelier lights in the Grand Pearl Hotel ballroom caught the crystals on my wedding dress just right. I stood in the empty venue 5 days before my ceremony, watching the event coordinator fuss over ivory versus cream linens. In my hand, hidden in my Prada clutch, was a USB drive that contained my entire future, or rather, the destruction of the future I thought I had. Camila? Hello. The napkins. The coordinator, Patricia, waved her hand in front of my face. I blinked. The ivory is fine. She smiled. Perfect. Derek is going to die when he sees you walk down this aisle. You're living a fairy tale, honey. If she only knew. If anyone knew what was on this drive. Let me go back 3 hours. I was at Polished and Perfect, my favorite nail salon, getting a French manicure. My bridesmaids, Simone and Tanya, sat on either side of me, scrolling through their phones and chatting about the bachelorette party we'd had last weekend. Everything was normal. Everything was perfect. Then she walked in. A woman I'd never seen before, probably in her 50s, with kind eyes and gray hair pulled into a neat bun. She walked straight to my chair and sat in the empty seat beside me. Camila Rodriguez? She asked quietly. My stomach dropped. Yes. She handed me a small envelope. I work security at the Riverside Hotel downtown. 3 weeks ago, I saw something on our cameras that bothered me. I tried to forget about it, but I couldn't. You're getting married this Saturday, right? I saw the announcement in the paper. My hands started shaking. Simone noticed and grabbed my arm. Who are you? The woman didn't answer Simone. She just looked at me. What's in this envelope is from our security footage. I made a copy before I quit that job. I couldn't work there knowing I kept this secret. I'm sorry. She stood up and left before I could respond. The envelope felt like fire in my hands. Simone and Tanya crowded around me as I opened it. Inside was a USB drive and a note. May 3rd, 10:47 p.m., room 512. I'm sorry. May 3rd. That was 3 weeks ago. Derek told me he was at a business conference in Chicago that night. He'd called me at 11 p.m. from his hotel room, telling me he loved me and couldn't wait to marry me. Don't open it here, Simone whispered. She was a lawyer, always practical. Let's go to your place. We left my nails half done and drove to my apartment in silence. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I put the USB into my laptop. The footage was time-stamped. May 3rd, 10:47 p.m. The Riverside Hotel lobby camera showed Derek walking through the entrance. He wasn't alone. The woman next to him had her hand on his arm, laughing at something he said. She had long dark hair and wore a tight red dress. My blood went cold. I knew that laugh. I knew that hair. Natasha. His ex-girlfriend. The footage switched to the elevator camera. Derek and Natasha were kissing before the doors even closed. His hands were in her hair. Her hands were pulling at his shirt. Third camera. The hallway outside room 512. They stumbled out of the elevator, still kissing. Derek fumbled with the room key. They fell into the room together. The timestamp showed they stayed in that room for 4 hours. I watched the footage 3 times. Then 5 times. Then 10. Tanya was crying. Simone was pacing, already talking about lawyers and revenge. I just sat there numb. That night, while I was at home planning our wedding, picking out flowers and confirming the cake flavor, Derek was in a hotel room with the woman he'd dated for 5 years before me. The woman he'd sworn meant nothing to him anymore. The woman who, according to Derek, was just a friend from the past. The woman who was invited to our wedding. I looked at the guest list on my coffee table. There she was, Natasha Preston, seated at table 7 with Derek's college friends. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Can't wait to marry you, baby. 4 more days until you're Mrs. Derek Thompson. Love you forever. I stared at that message for a long time. Simone knelt in front of me. Camila, you have to cancel the wedding. No, I said quietly. What? I'm not canceling anything. I looked up at her, and something must have shone in my eyes because she stepped back. We have 200 confirmed guests. Derek's entire family. His business partners. My family. Everyone we know. Exactly, Tanya said. That's why we need to cancel. You can't marry him. I smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. I'm not going to marry him. But I'm not canceling the wedding either. Simone's eyes widened. Camila. He wants a wedding? I stood up, my mind suddenly clear. He's going to get a wedding. The whole thing. The venue, the flowers, the guests, the dress, everything. And then what? Simone asked, though I could see she was starting to understand. I picked up the USB drive. And then everyone is going to see exactly who Derek Thompson really is. Now, standing in this ballroom 5 days later, watching Patricia fuss over details for a ceremony that would never happen, I felt calm. Calmer than I'd been in weeks. My phone buzzed. Derek, just confirmed my tux pickup. Can't believe we're almost there. I texted back, me neither. It's going to be unforgettable. And it would be. Just not in the way he expected. Patricia clapped her hands. Okay. Final walkthrough complete. Saturday is going to be magical, Camila. Absolutely magical. Yes, I agreed, touching the USB drive in my pocket. Yes, it will be. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Instead, I did what any rational woman would do when her entire life turned into a lie. I hired a private investigator. His name was Frank Morrison, recommended by Simone. He was expensive, but he was fast and discreet. I met him the next morning at a coffee shop 3 blocks from my office. I need everything, I told him, sliding the USB drive across the table. I need to know how long this has been going on. I need proof. I need all of it. Frank was in his 60s, with gray stubble and tired eyes. He picked up the USB drive like it was evidence in a murder case. How much time do I have? 4 days until the wedding. His eyebrows raised. You're still going through with it? Just find me everything, please. He found everything. 72 hours later, Frank handed me a folder so thick I needed both hands to carry it. We met in his office this time, a cramped space above a dry cleaner that smelled like starch and disappointment. Sit down, he said. I sat. Frank opened the folder. The affair started 6 months ago. January 15th to be exact. Natasha Preston reached out to Derek on social media, congratulating him on your engagement. My engagement had been announced in January. We'd been so happy. They met for coffee, Frank continued. Just coffee according to the receipts. But then there was another coffee. And lunch. And dinner. By February they were meeting twice a week. He showed me printouts. Credit card statements showing charges at romantic restaurants. Hotels. Flower deliveries, but not to me. The Riverside Hotel wasn't a one-time thing, Frank said. They've been there 11 times in the past 4 months. Always the same room. Derek pays cash, but the hotel keeps digital records. 11 times. While I was picking out wedding invitations and tasting cake samples. There's more. Frank pulled out his phone and showed me screenshots. Text messages. Hundreds of them. Derek to Natasha, I can't wait to see you tonight. She's at her mother's, so we have time. Natasha to Derek, are you really going through with the wedding? Derek to Natasha, I have to. Her father's firm is backing my business expansion. After the wedding, once everything is settled, we can figure things out. I read that message 3 times. He's using you, Frank said gently. Your father's connections, his investment firm, the business partners he's met through your family, that's what Derek wants. The wedding isn't about love. It's about access. My father had invested $200,000 in Derek's tech startup. He'd introduced Derek to half his business network. Derek's company had tripled in value in the past year, all thanks to my father's connections. What about Natasha? I asked, my voice hollow. What's she getting out of this? Frank pulled out more screenshots. She thinks Derek is going to leave you. He's been telling her the marriage is just temporary, just for business. He's promised her they'll be together once he's secured the investments and connections he needs. So he's lying to both of us. Yes. I stared at the folder. 6 months of lies. 6 months of hotel rooms and secret phone calls and promises to another woman while he kissed me goodnight and talked about our future children. There's one more thing, Frank said. He looked uncomfortable. Natasha is coming to the wedding. I know. She's on the guest list. Right. But according to these messages, Derek specifically invited her. He told her to come to watch him marry you, because it would prove to her how much he's sacrificing for their future together. He called it the ultimate proof of his commitment to her. I felt sick. Derek had invited his mistress to our wedding as a twisted romantic gesture to her. While I thought I was marrying the love of my life, he was performing a show for another woman, proving his dedication to her by betraying me in front of everyone we knew. I have video footage, phone records, hotel receipts, screenshots of every message, Frank said. If you want to press charges for fraud or theft, he did use your joint credit card for some of these hotel visits, you have enough evidence. I want copies of everything. Already done. He handed me a USB drive. This has it all. Organized by date. There's also an audio file. Audio? Frank looked grim. I tapped Derek's phone yesterday. Legal gray area, but you didn't hear that from me. He called Natasha last night. You should listen to it. Or don't. It's your choice. I took the USB drive home. Simone and Tanya came over and we sat in my living room like we were preparing for war. Which I suppose we were. I plugged in the USB and clicked on the audio file. Derek's voice filled my apartment. For more days, Tash. Then it's done. Then we can be together for real. Natasha, I don't know if I can watch you marry her. Derek, you have to. This is all for us. Once I'm married, her father will fully back my company expansion. I'll have access to all his investor contacts. Within a year, I can buy you that house you wanted. We can travel like you always wanted. Natasha? And Camila? Derek laughed. Actually laughed. Camila is sweet, but she's not you. She's just convenient. Her connections, her father's money, her family's social circle. That's what matters. Once I have what I need, I can figure out the divorce. Probably after a year or so. The recording went on. 13 minutes of Derek explaining exactly how he planned to use me, drain my family's resources, and then leave me for Natasha. He talked about our marriage like it was a business transaction. He talked about me like I was an ATM with legs. When the recording ended, we sat in silence. Tanya was crying again. Simone looked ready to commit violence, which was concerning for a lawyer. I felt nothing. I cried all my tears the night I got the first USB drive. Now I just felt cold. Calculating. We need to adjust the plan, I said. Simone looked at me. Adjust how? I pulled out my laptop and opened a file. I've been thinking about the wedding. The big screen. The footage. That's good, but it's not enough. Not enough. Tanya stared at me. Camila, you're going to show everyone? I'm going to show everyone everything, I interrupted. Not just the hotel footage. Every text message. Every receipt. The audio recording. All of it. And I'm going to make sure Derek can't run, can't make excuses, can't talk his way out of it. Simone nodded slowly. You want to destroy him completely. I want everyone to know exactly who he is, I corrected. His family, his friends, his business partners, everyone. I want them to hear him planning to use me. I want them to see him kissing another woman 3 weeks before our wedding. I want Natasha to hear him call me convenient. I looked at my friends. Derek Thompson wants a wedding? I'm going to give him one he'll never forget. Tanya wiped her eyes. What do you need us to do? I smiled. Help me make a presentation. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in days. My wedding was in 72 hours. I had 3 days to prepare for the most important performance of my life. First stop, Simone's law office. She'd taken the day off to help me, which told me everything about what kind of friend she was. We sat in her conference room with coffee and files spread across the mahogany table. Legally, you're in the clear, she said, reviewing notes. The wedding venue is paid for and it's in your name. The deposits are non-refundable anyway. You have every right to use that space for whatever event you want. Even if that event is public humiliation? Even then. You're not breaking any laws by showing evidence of infidelity. Everything on those USB drives was obtained legally, mostly. She gave me a look. We'll pretend Frank didn't tell you about the phone tap. What about my money? The investment in Derek's company? Simone pulled out another file. Your father invested $200,000 in Derek's tech startup, Future Tech Solutions. However, the investment was made as a personal loan with a contract stipulating repayment terms if the engagement was terminated. I blinked. My father made Derek sign a contract? Your father is a retired judge. Of course he made Derek sign a contract. Simone smiled. If the engagement ends, Derek has 30 days to repay the full amount. If he can't, your father becomes the majority shareholder of the company. So either way we get the money back or we take his company. Exactly. Your father didn't trust Derek from the beginning, apparently. He just didn't want to say anything because you seemed happy. My father. Always 3 steps ahead. There's more, Simone continued. The joint credit card Derek used for the hotel rooms? It's in your name. You're the primary card holder. Derek is just an authorized user. You can cancel his access anytime. Do it today. Already done. As of this morning, Derek's card was declined at the coffee shop. He's probably confused right now. Good. Let him be confused. Next, I called my cousin Jordan. He was 25, worked in tech, and owed me a favor after I'd helped him get his first job. He arrived at Simone's office within an hour, laptop bag slung over his shoulder. "Cuz," he said, hugging me. Simone filled me in. "I'm so sorry. But also, I'm so ready to help you burn this guy's life down." "I need a presentation," I said. Professional. Clean. Undeniable. I needed to run on that big screen at the wedding venue. I needed to start automatically at a specific time. And I need it to be impossible for Derek to stop once it starts. Jordan cracked his knuckles. Say less. Give me the files. I handed him the USB drives. He plugged them into his laptop and started working, his fingers flying across the keyboard. I'm thinking, he said, not looking up, we start with a title slide. Something simple. Then a timeline showing how long the affair has been going on. Then the hotel footage. Then the text messages in chronological order. Then the receipts. Then we end with the audio recording. How long will the whole presentation run? With everything? About 20 minutes. But I can add pauses, make it interactive. We can have captions for the audio so everyone can read what they're hearing. I'll make it look like a documentary. Professional. Credible. Impossible to dismiss as fake or edited. Can you add dates and timestamps to everything? Absolutely. I'll also add verification markers showing the footage is authentic. GPS coordinates for the hotel. Phone number verification for the text messages. Everything. Simone leaned over to look at his screen. What about music? Jordan and I both looked at her. What? She said. If you're going to destroy someone at their own wedding, you might as well have a soundtrack. Jordan grinned. I like how you think. Something dramatic? Or something ironic? Ironic, I said immediately. Something about truth or betrayal. I've got just the thing. We worked for 6 hours straight. Jordan built the presentation while Simone prepared legal documents. I made phone calls. First, I called my parents. That conversation was harder than I expected. Mija, my father said when I told him everything. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I should have. Dad, you did everything right. The contract, the protection. You knew something was wrong. I hoped I was wrong. I wanted you to be happy. I will be happy. After Saturday. My mother got on the phone. Camila, you don't have to go through with this plan. We can cancel everything. You can heal in private. Mama, if I cancel, Derek gets away with it. He keeps his reputation. He keeps his company. He keeps lying to the next woman. This needs to happen. She was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you need from us? I need you to trust me. And I need you both at the wedding, acting normal until the moment I give the signal. What signal? You'll know it when you see it. Next, I called my bridesmaids. Besides Simone and Tanya, I had 3 others. My sister Christina, my college roommate Andrea, and my coworker Brittany. I'd been avoiding them since the discovery, making excuses about wedding stress. Now I told them everything. The phone call turned into a video conference with all 5 of them. I played the hotel footage. I showed them the text messages. I played the audio recording. Christina cried. Andrea cursed in 3 languages. Brittany offered to vandalize Derek's car. No vandalism, I said firmly. We do this legally. We do this right. But I need your help. Anything, Christina said immediately. Saturday, you all need to act normal. Derek can't suspect anything. You need to smile, help me get ready, walk down the aisle with the groomsmen. Everything needs to seem perfect until I give the signal. What signal? Andrea asked. When the officiant asks if anyone objects to the marriage, I'm going to say, I do. That's when Jordan starts the presentation. That's when everything happens. Holy hell, Brittany whispered. You're objecting to your own wedding. Yes. Tanya laughed, but it was a fierce sound. That's the most boss move I've ever heard. I'm going to need you all on crowd control, I continued. Specifically, I need you to make sure Natasha doesn't leave. When she tries to run, and she will, you need to block the exits. Not aggressively. Just be in the way. Oh, I can be in the way, Christina said darkly. I can be very in the way. We spent the next hour coordinating. Simone sent everyone copies of the evidence so they knew exactly what we were working with. Jordan showed them the presentation. My bridesmaids started planning their positions in the venue, figuring out how to cover all the exits without being obvious. What about Derek's groomsmen? Andrea asked. They're going to try to defend him. Let them, I said. The evidence speaks for itself. They can try to make excuses, but everyone will see the truth. Finally, I called the one person I'd been dreading, my wedding coordinator, Patricia. Camila, is everything okay? The wedding is in 3 days. Everything is perfect, Patricia. I just have one small change. What kind of change? You know that large screen we're using for the slideshow during the reception? Yes, the one showing your love story photos? I need it moved to the ceremony space. I want it behind the altar. Behind the altar? But that's unusual. Typically we save the slideshow for. I'm paying extra for unusual. I want that screen prominently displayed during the ceremony. I have a special video I want to play. Patricia hesitated. Well, if you're sure. I'm absolutely sure. Also, I need you to make sure the screen is connected to a laptop I'll provide. My cousin Jordan will handle the technical setup. He'll arrive early Saturday morning. Of course. Anything else? Yes. No matter what happens during the ceremony, I need you to make sure the reception space is ready immediately after. The food, the music, everything. Can you do that? Camila, you're worrying me. Is something wrong? Nothing is wrong, Patricia. I just want everything to be perfect. After I hung up, Simone looked at me. You're really doing this? Yes. Derek is going to lose everything. His reputation, his relationships, his business partners. Your father will take his company. Everyone he knows will see exactly who he is. Good. Natasha is going to be humiliated too. Also good. And you? Simone asked gently. How are you going to feel, standing in front of 200 people, revealing that the man you love betrayed you? I thought about that. Truly thought about it. The man I love doesn't exist, I said finally. The man I thought I knew was a lie. Derek Thompson is a user and a cheater. And on Saturday everyone is going to know it. I'm not just calling off a wedding. I'm making sure he can never do this to anyone else. Simone nodded. Okay then. Let's finish this plan. We worked until midnight. By the time I went home we had everything prepared. The presentation was ready. The legal documents were drafted. My bridesmaids knew their positions. My parents were on board. All that was left was to wait for Saturday. I texted Derek before bed, can't wait to marry you. Going to be the most memorable day of our lives. He responded immediately, mine too, baby. Love you forever. I stared at those words. 3 days ago they would have made me smile. Now they just made me angry. Forever was about to become a very short time. Thursday morning, Derek called me bright and early. Babe, something weird happened. My credit card got declined at Starbucks this morning. Did you maybe cancel it by accident? I was at my kitchen table eating yogurt and reviewing Jordan's presentation on my laptop. Oh no, that's strange. Maybe call the bank? I did. They said the primary card holder, that's you, canceled my authorized user status. That's so weird. I didn't do anything. Maybe it's a computer error? Can you call them and fix it? I have a meeting with investors today and I need to. Derek, I'm so busy with final wedding stuff. Can it wait until next week? You have your debit card, right? Silence. Then, yeah. Yeah, I guess I can use that. Great. See you tonight for the rehearsal dinner? Yeah. Love you. Love you too, I lied smoothly. After I hung up, I allowed myself a small smile. Derek's debit card was connected to his personal account, which, according to Frank's investigation, had about $800 in it. All his real money was tied up in his business. Without the joint credit card that I paid for, Derek was going to feel the squeeze. Good. Thursday was dedicated to logistics. I met Jordan at the wedding venue for a technical rehearsal. Patricia thought we were just setting up the slideshow equipment. She had no idea Jordan was installing a wireless presentation system that I could control from my phone. This is incredible, Jordan said, connecting cables behind the massive screen. 65 inches of pure revenge. Derek's face is going to be 10 feet tall when we show his text messages. Can he stop it once it starts? Nope. I'm disconnecting the manual controls and running everything through an encrypted wireless signal. Only your phone can start or stop the presentation. Even if Derek tackles the screen, which would be hilarious, the presentation keeps running. What if the Wi-Fi goes down? I'm bringing a mobile hotspot as backup. And the presentation is downloaded locally. We don't need internet. This thing is bulletproof. Jordan stepped back to admire his work. The screen was positioned perfectly behind the altar, where everyone in the venue would have a clear view. White fabric draped around it made it look elegant, like part of the decor. Saturday is going to be legendary, Jordan said. I almost feel bad for Derek. Almost. Thursday afternoon I had my final dress fitting. Christina, Tanya, and Simone came with me. The boutique owner, Mrs. Chin, fussed over the hem while I stood on a platform, looking at myself in the mirror. The dress was beautiful. Ivory lace with delicate beading, a sweetheart neckline, and a cathedral train. I'd spent months choosing this dress. I'd imagined Derek's face when he saw me in it. Now I was going to wear it to destroy him. You look like a princess, Mrs. Chin said, pinning the final adjustment. Derek is going to cry when he sees you. Oh, he'll definitely cry, Christina muttered. Mrs. Chin didn't catch the tone. This is going to be such a beautiful wedding. I've done a lot of weddings, but you can always tell when it's real love. You two have that spark. I caught Simone's eye in the mirror. She looked away before she started laughing. Thank you, Mrs. Chin, I said graciously. It's definitely going to be a wedding no one forgets. After the fitting, we went to lunch. I ordered a burger and fries, comfort food I desperately needed. How are you really doing? Simone asked once we had our food. I considered the question. I'm angry. But I'm also relieved? Does that make sense? Relieved how? What if I'd married him? I set down my burger. What if I'd gone through with it and then found out about Natasha a year from now? Or 5 years? What if we'd had kids? The longer it went on, the worse the betrayal would have been. Finding out now is a gift, Tanya agreed. Even if it doesn't feel like it. It does feel like it, I said. Because now I get to control the narrative. I get to choose how this ends. Derek thought he was going to use me, drain my family's resources, and then toss me aside. Instead, he's going to lose everything on what should have been the happiest day of his life. Christina raised her glass of water. To revenge served cold. We all clinked glasses. Thursday evening was the rehearsal dinner. This was the part one was dreading. I had to smile and pretend everything was fine while sitting across from Derek and his family. The dinner was at an upscale Italian restaurant, private room reserved for 40 people. Derek's parents, his sister, his groomsmen, my family, my bridesmaids. Everyone important. And Natasha. She sat 3 tables away laughing with Derek's college friends. She wore a black dress that was entirely too sexy for a rehearsal dinner. Her eyes kept finding Derek across the room. He didn't look at her. Not once. He was too busy playing the role of devoted fiancé, holding my hand, kissing my cheek, giving a speech about how lucky he was to have me. Camila is everything I ever wanted, he told the room, his arm around my waist. She's beautiful, intelligent, kind, and she comes from an amazing family. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with her. Everyone applauded. My father looked pleased. My mother dabbed her eyes. I smiled and kissed Derek's cheek, playing my role perfectly. Under the table I had my phone in my lap. I'd created a group chat with my bridesmaids, Operation Wedding Revenge. Simone had just texted, Natasha keeps staring at Derek. She looks nervous. I glanced over. Natasha was fidgeting with her wine glass, her eyes darting between Derek and me. She looked like she wanted to run. I texted back, let her be nervous. Tomorrow she learns the truth about Derek's promises. After dinner, Derek walked me to my car. Last night before we're married, he said, pulling me close. How are you feeling? Perfect, I lied. You? Nervous? Excited? Can't believe this is really happening. Me neither. He kissed me soft and sweet the way he used to when we first started dating. 3 months ago this kiss would have made my heart race. Now I just felt nothing. I love you so much, he whispered. I love you too. The lie was getting easier. See you at the altar? Wouldn't miss it for the world. I drove home and immediately showered, scrubbing away the feeling of Derek's kiss. Then I sat in bed with my laptop watching Jordan's presentation one more time. Title slide, The Truth About Derek Thompson. Timeline, a visual representation of the 6-month affair, mapped against our wedding planning. Hotel footage, clear time-stamped video of Derek and Natasha entering room 512. Text messages, screenshots with dates showing Derek's promises to Natasha. Receipts, proof of hotel rooms, dinners, gifts, all charged to my credit card. Audio recording, Derek's own voice explaining his plan to use me. Final slide, this wedding is cancelled. But the reception is still on. Please stay for food and drinks while we celebrate my freedom. 22 minutes of undeniable evidence. I texted Jordan, it's perfect. Thank you. He replied, you're welcome, cuz. Derek's going to wish he'd never been born. I texted my bridesmaids, tomorrow we change the game. Everyone ready? 5 responses came back immediately. Christina, ready to watch him burn. Simone, all legal documents prepared. Tanya, I've got the exits covered. Andrea, camera ready to record his reaction. Brittany, let's do this. I set my phone down and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow was my wedding day. Tomorrow I was supposed to become Mrs. Derek Thompson. Instead, tomorrow I was going to become the woman who stood up for herself in front of 200 people and refused to be used. Part of me was terrified. Part of me was exhilarated. All of me was ready. I fell asleep with one last thought. Derek, you have no idea what's coming. Friday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. My wedding was tomorrow. Today was for final preparations, but not the kind Derek expected. My father called at 6. Mija, your mother and I have been talking. We want you to know we support whatever you decide to do tomorrow. If you want to cancel, we'll handle it. If you want to go through with your plan, we'll be there. I'm going through with it, Dad. He sighed. I figured. I also called my lawyer. The contract Derek signed is ironclad. If the engagement ends, he has 30 days to repay the $200,000, or I take majority ownership of his company. He can't get out of it. What if he declares bankruptcy? Then I still get the company. Either way, Derek Thompson is not walking away from this with my money. Thanks, Dad. Camila? I'm proud of you. What you're doing tomorrow takes courage. Not many people would have the strength to stand up like this. After we hung up, I got a text from Simone. Emergency breakfast meeting. My place. Now. I threw on jeans and drove to Simone's apartment. When I arrived, all 5 of my bridesmaids were there, plus Jordan. Someone had brought bagels and coffee. Okay, Simone said, pulling out a whiteboard. Final briefing. Tomorrow is game day and we need to be perfect. She drew a diagram of the wedding venue. Camila walks down the aisle at exactly 2 p.m. The ceremony begins. The officiant does his speech. Then comes the objection question. That's when Camila says, I do. Jordan, that's your cue to start the presentation. Jordan saluted. Presentation is loaded and ready. I'll be in the tech booth. Once I hit play, it runs automatically. 22 minutes of truth. What about Natasha? Christina asked. She's going to try to leave the second she realizes what's happening. Simone pointed to the exits on her diagram. Tanya, you cover the main entrance. Christina, you take the side door. Andrea, you're on the emergency exit. Brittany, you float between positions. If Natasha tries to run, you all converge. Not aggressively. Just accidentally be in her way. What if Derek tries to stop the presentation? Andrea asked. He can't, Jordan said. The controls are encrypted. Only Camila's phone can stop it. And even if Derek destroys the screen, the audio keeps playing through the venue's sound system. What about his groomsmen? Brittany asked. They're going to defend him. Let them, I said. The evidence is overwhelming. They can try to make excuses, but everyone will see the truth. Simone pulled out a folder. After the presentation, I hand Derek these documents. One is a notice of contract termination, reminding him he has 30 days to repay the $200,000. The other is a restraining order preventing him from contacting Camila or her family. Restraining order? I blinked. Is that necessary? Trust me, once Derek realizes what he's lost, he's going to try to fix it. The restraining order makes sure he can't harass you. It's temporary, just 30 days, but it sends a message. What about me? I asked. What do I do after the presentation? You stand there and let everyone see you're okay, Tanya said. You're not crying. You're not broken. You're strong. That's important. Then we transition to the reception, Simone continued. Patricia knows to have everything ready. Food, music, open bar. We turn Derek's humiliation into your celebration. Jordan grinned. I made a second playlist for the reception. All empowerment songs. I will survive, since you've been gone, fighter, the whole 9 yards. Perfect. We spent 3 hours going over every detail. Who stands where? Who says what? What to do if Derek's family gets aggressive? What to do if Natasha faints, which Tanya thought was a real possibility. She's going to hear Derek call her a temporary distraction in that audio recording, Tanya said. She's going to realize he was lying to her too. That's going to hit hard. Good, Christina said fiercely. She knew he was engaged. She made her choices. All right, Simone said finally. Everyone knows their role. Tomorrow we execute. No mistakes. No regrets. We all put our hands in the center like a sports team before a big game. For Camila, Simone said. For Camila, everyone repeated. After the meeting, I went to the spa with my mother and Christina. We'd scheduled this weeks ago, a full day of pampering before the wedding. Massages, facials, manicures, pedicures. My mother watched me get a massage, concern in her eyes. Are you sure about tomorrow, Mija? Yes, Mama. It's going to be hard. Standing up there, revealing everything. People are going to talk. Let them talk. I'd rather be the woman who stood up for herself than the woman who stayed quiet and got used. Christina squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing. Derek doesn't deserve you. He never did. During my facial, I closed my eyes and thought about the future. This time tomorrow my wedding would be over. Derek would be exposed. Natasha would know she'd been lied to. My father would have his money back or Derek's company. And I would be free. Free to start over. Free to find someone who actually loved me. Free to build a life that wasn't based on lies. Ms. Rodriguez? The esthetician's voice pulled me back. You're smiling. You must be excited about tomorrow. You have no idea, I said. That evening I had one final task. I needed to see Derek. We'd agreed not to see each other the night before the wedding. Something about tradition and anticipation. But I called him and asked him to meet me at our favorite coffee shop. He was already there when I arrived, sitting at our usual table by the window. He stood and hugged me, kissing my forehead. Couldn't stay away, huh? He teased. Just wanted to see you one more time before tomorrow. We ordered coffee and sat down. Derek held my hand across the table, his thumb rubbing circles on my palm. Nervous? He asked. A little. You. Terrified. But in a good way. Tomorrow you become my wife. I get to spend the rest of my life with you. I studied his face. He looked sincere. His eyes were warm. His smile was genuine. If I didn't know about Natasha, about the hotels, about the lies, I would believe him completely. That was the scariest part. Derek was a good liar. He'd looked at me like this for months while planning to use me. How many other women had he fooled? How many would he fool in the future? Not after tomorrow. Derek, I said carefully, do you love me? Of course I love you. Why would you even ask? I just want to make sure this is real. That we're real. He brought my hand to his lips. Camila, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Tomorrow can't come fast enough. I smiled. Me too. We talked for an hour about nothing important. Wedding details, honeymoon plans, what our first dance song would be. Derek was relaxed, happy, excited. He had no idea that in less than 24 hours, his entire life would fall apart. When we left the coffee shop, he walked me to my car. Last night as an unmarried woman. How does it feel? Like the end of something, I said truthfully, and the beginning of something better. He kissed me goodbye. I love you, Camila Rodriguez. Soon to be Camila Thompson. I love you too, I said. The lie didn't even feel like a lie anymore. It was just words. Empty sounds. Tomorrow everyone would know the truth. I drove home and found a package on my doorstep. No return address. I opened it carefully and found a note. For tomorrow. Wear this and know you're a warrior. Frank. Inside was a bracelet. Simple silver with one charm. A phoenix rising from flames. I put it on and didn't take it off. That night I packed an overnight bag. After the wedding reception I was going to a hotel. I didn't want to be in the apartment I'd shared with Derek. I didn't want to be anywhere he could find me. Simone was coming with me. So was Christina. We'd ordered room service and planned to watch bad movies and eat ice cream until we couldn't think anymore. But first I had a wedding to destroy. I laid out my dress, my shoes, my jewelry. Everything was ready. Jordan had confirmed the presentation was loaded. Simone had the legal documents. My bridesmaids knew their positions. At midnight I got a text from Derek. Can't sleep. Too excited. This time tomorrow you'll be my wife. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed, this time tomorrow, everyone will know who you really are. But I didn't send it. Instead I wrote, sweet dreams. See you at the altar. His response was immediate, can't wait. Love you forever. Forever. That word again. I turned off my phone and got into bed. Tomorrow was going to be the longest, hardest, most important day of my life. And I was ready. Saturday. My wedding day. I woke up at 6 a.m. to 17 text messages, all from people excited about the ceremony. Friends, family, distant cousins I barely knew. Everyone wanted to tell me how happy they were for me. They only knew. My bridesmaids arrived at 7 with breakfast, champagne, and matching silk robes that said Bride Tribe. We were supposed to get ready together at the venue's bridal suite, laughing and taking photos and celebrating. Instead, we ate bagels in tense silence while Simone reviewed the plan one more time. The ceremony starts at 2 p.m. Guests start arriving at 1. Jordan will be there at noon to set up the technical equipment. Camila, you need to be dressed and ready by 1:30. What if Derek sees the screen and gets suspicious? Andrea asked. He won't, Jordan said, video calling from his car. I'm already at the venue. The screen is covered with fabric and looks like part of the backdrop. Derek's going to think it's decorative. Has he arrived yet? I asked. No, but his groomsmen are here setting up. They have no idea what's coming. Christina poured champagne into everyone's glasses. A toast. To Camila, who's about to become a legend. To Camila, everyone echoed. I sipped the champagne, but I barely tasted it. My mind was racing through everything that was about to happen. In 8 hours, my entire life would change. Derek would be exposed. Natasha would know the truth. 200 guests would witness the whole thing. And I would be free. At 9 a.m., my mother arrived with my dress. She hugged me tightly. How are you feeling, Mija? Ready. She pulled back and looked at me carefully. You're so calm. I expected you to be, I don't know, more upset. I've done all my crying, Mama. Now I'm just focused. Your father is already at the venue. He's talking to some of Derek's business partners. They don't know what's coming. Good. Let them be surprised. My mother touched my cheek. I'm proud of you, Camila. What you're doing today takes strength. You're saving yourself from years of pain. I know. But it's still going to hurt. When you stand up there and reveal everything, it's going to hurt. Are you prepared for that? I thought about the hotel footage, the text messages, Derek's voice on that audio recording talking about how convenient I was. The truth already hurt, Mama. Tomorrow is just making sure everyone else knows it too. At 11 a.m. we moved to the venue. The Grand Pearl Hotel was decorated exactly as I'd planned months ago. White roses everywhere. Ivory linens. Gold accents. The ceremony space looked like something from a magazine. And right behind the altar, covered in elegant white fabric, was Jordan's screen. I found him in the tech booth running final checks. Everything ready? Perfect. The presentation is loaded. Your phone is synced. The moment you say, I do, to the objection question, I'll start the playback. The whole thing runs automatically from there. Can Derek stop it? Not unless he cuts the power to the entire building. And even then, I have battery backups. This thing is unstoppable. Patricia, the wedding coordinator, found me in the bridal suite. Camila, you look stunning. Are you ready for the most beautiful day of your life? I smiled at her. Absolutely. I have to tell you, this wedding is going to be talked about for years. I can feel it. There's something special about today. You have no idea, Patricia. At 1 p.m., guests started arriving. I watched from the bridal suite window as people filed in, dressed in their finest. Derek's parents, his sister, his groomsmen and their girlfriends, my extended family, friends from college, business partners my father had introduced Derek to. And at 1:15 Natasha arrived. She wore white. Not ivory, not cream, white. A tight white cocktail dress that looked like a wedding dress someone had cut short. She'd curled her hair and wore dramatic makeup. Is she serious right now? Tanya hissed, looking over my shoulder. She's wearing white to your wedding? Let her, I said calmly. In an hour, everyone's going to know exactly why she's here. At 1:30 my bridesmaids helped me into my dress. The ivory lace felt heavy, the beading catching the light. Christina fastened the buttons while Simone arranged my veil. You look like a bride, Brittany said softly. A beautiful, powerful bride who's about to change her life. There was a knock on the door. My father stepped in and his eyes filled with tears. Mija, you're beautiful. Thanks, Dad. He came closer, lowering his voice. Last chance to back out. We can cancel right now. You don't have to go through with this. I'm not backing out. Okay. He kissed my forehead. Then let's go show Derek Thompson what happens when he messes with a Rodriguez. At 1:55 I stood at the back of the ceremony space, hidden behind closed doors. I could hear the guests chattering, excited. The string quartet was playing soft classical music. Simone squeezed my hand. You're incredible. You know that, right? I'm terrified. Good. Terror means you're alive. Terror means what you're about to do matters. The doors opened slightly. I could see the ceremony space. 200 people in chairs. White roses on every surface. Candles glowing. And at the front, standing at the altar, was Derek. He wore a black tuxedo. His hair was perfect. He was smiling, talking to the officiant, completely at ease. He thought today was going to be the best day of his life. Behind him, covered in white fabric, was the screen that would destroy him. The wedding coordinator gave me a signal. Ready, Camila? I took a deep breath. This was it. No going back. Ready. The music changed to the bridal march. The doors opened fully. 200 heads turned to look at me. I started walking. Architected narrative arc spanning wedding revelation through emotional aftermath. This is going well. I need to continue with the wedding ceremony and the big reveal. Chapter 7 should be the actual wedding day and start of the revelation. Chapter 8 the full revelation. Chapter 9 the aftermath. And Chapter 10 the new beginning. My father's arm was steady as we walked down the aisle. Every step felt surreal. The faces of guests blurred together, aunts, uncles, friends, co-workers. Everyone was smiling, crying happy tears, taking photos. They had no idea. Derek stood at the altar and when he saw me, his face lit up. Genuine joy. Or maybe he was just a better actor than I thought. He pressed his hand to his chest, over his heart, and mouthed, "Wow." I kept my face neutral. Bride smile. Composed. 3 rows from the front, I spotted Natasha. She sat perfectly still, her white dress almost glowing in the light. Her eyes were fixed on Derek, not on me. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her clutch. She should be nervous. My father walked me to the altar and turned to Derek. Instead of the traditional handoff, my father leaned in close and whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but Derek's smile faltered for just a second before returning. Whatever my father said, it wasn't, "Take care of my daughter." My father kissed my cheek and took his seat next to my mother. She was crying but not happy tears. She knew what was coming. Derek took my hands. Up close I could see he'd gotten a haircut, styled perfectly. He smelled like expensive cologne. He looked every bit the successful, handsome groom. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "Thank you," I said. The officiant, a friend of Derek's family, smiled at the crowd. "Welcome everyone to the wedding of Camila Rodriguez and Derek Thompson. What a beautiful day to celebrate love." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the guests. "Marriage is a sacred bond," the officiant continued, "built on trust, honesty, and commitment. Today, Camila and Derek stand before us to make promises that will last a lifetime. Trust, honesty, commitment." The words felt like knives. Derek squeezed my hands, still smiling. He had no idea the screen behind him was about to light up with evidence of his betrayal. "Before we proceed with the vows," the officiant said, "we must honor tradition. If anyone here knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace." This was it. The room fell silent. Guests shifted in their seats, waiting for the formality to pass. No one ever objected at weddings. It was just tradition. I let the silence stretch for 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then I spoke. "I do." The room went completely still. Derek's face froze. The officiant blinked. "I'm sorry?" "I object," I said louder this time. "I object to this marriage." Gasps erupted from the guest. Derek's grip on my hands tightened. "Camila, what are you?" "I object because the man standing in front of me has been lying to me for 6 months." "What?" Derek's face went pale. "Camila, this isn't funny." "You're right. It's not funny at all." I pulled my hands free and turned to Jordan in the tech booth. I gave him a small nod. The lights dimmed slightly. The white fabric covering the screen behind the altar dropped away, revealing the massive display. The venue's sound system crackled to life. The presentation began. Title slide, "The Truth About Derek Thompson." 200 people stared at the screen. Derek spun around, his face draining of color. "What is this?" "Camila, what are you doing?" "I'm showing everyone who you really are." The timeline appeared on screen, showing the 6-month affair mapped against our wedding planning. Dates highlighted in red showed every time Derek had met Natasha while I was picking out flowers, tasting cakes, addressing invitations. "This is insane," Derek said, his voice rising. Someone turn it off." His best man Trevor jumped up and ran toward the screen. Jordan had anticipated this. The screen was mounted 10 feet high and the controls were locked. "You can't stop it," I said calmly. "Just watch." The hotel footage began playing. On the screen, clear as day, Derek and Natasha walked through the Riverside Hotel lobby. The timestamp showed May 3, 10:47 p.m. The night Derek told me he was in Chicago. The camera followed them to the elevator. They were kissing. Derek's hands in her hair. Her hands pulling at his clothes. Someone in the crowd gasped. I heard Derek's mother say, "Oh my God." "That's not," Derek started, but his voice cracked. "That video is fake. It's edited. It's from the hotel's security system," I said. "Time-stamped and verified. Want to see the rest?" The footage continued. Derek and Natasha stumbling into room 512. The timestamp showed they stayed for 4 hours. Natasha had stood up from her seat, her face white as her dress. She looked like she wanted to disappear. Camila, please, Derek begged. Please stop this. We can talk about this in private. We're way past private, Derek. The screen switched to text messages. Screenshots filled the display, enlarged so everyone could read them. Derek to Natasha. Can't wait to see you tonight. She's at her mother's, so we have time. Natasha to Derek. Are you really going through with the wedding? Derek to Natasha. I have to. Her father's firm is backing my business expansion. After the wedding, once everything is settled, we can figure things out. The crowd erupted. People were shouting, standing up, pointing at the screen. Derek's father stood, his face red with anger. Derek, what the hell is this? It's taken out of context. Derek shouted. Those messages are. But the presentation continued relentlessly. More messages appeared. Months of communication. Derek calling me convenient. Natasha asking if he really loved her. Derek promising they'd be together once he'd secured my father's money and connections. I turned to face the crowd, my voice steady. For 6 months, Derek has been having an affair with his ex-girlfriend. He used my family's money to fund hotel rooms. He used my father's business connections to expand his company. He was planning to marry me, take everything he could, and then divorce me. That's not true. Derek grabbed my arm. Camila, you're making this up. I pulled away from him. Am I? Then explain the receipts. The screen showed credit card statements. Charges to the Riverside Hotel. Romantic restaurants. Jewelry purchases, none of which I'd ever received. All charged to our joint credit card. The one I paid for. Derek's sister stood up. Derek, tell me this isn't real. He opened his mouth but nothing came out. And if you think that's bad, I said, wait until you hear this. The audio recording began playing through the venue's sound system. Derek's voice filled the room. For more days, Tash. Then it's done. Then we can be together for real. Natasha's voice. I don't know if I can watch you marry her. Derek's voice. You have to. This is all for us. Once I'm married, her father will fully back my company expansion. I'll have access to all his investor contacts. Within a year, I can buy you that house you wanted. We can travel like you always wanted. The recording continued. 13 minutes of Derek explaining how he planned to use me. How he called me sweet but convenient. How he planned to divorce me after a year once he'd drained my family's resources. The room had gone from shocked to furious. People were shouting. Derek's mother was crying. His father looked like he wanted to hit something. Natasha tried to run. She made it 3 steps before Christina accidentally stepped into the aisle, blocking her path. Tanya moved to cover another exit. Natasha was trapped. Sit down, Natasha, I called out. You need to hear this too. The audio recording reached the part where Derek described his plan for after the divorce. Natasha is who I really want. Camila is just a means to an end. Once I have the money and the connections, I can leave her and finally be with the woman I love. Natasha's face crumpled. You said I was the only one. You said marrying her meant nothing. Derek turned to her, desperate. Tasha, did you love me at all? Natasha's voice broke. Or was I just part of your plan too? The presentation ended with a final slide. This wedding is cancelled. But please stay for the reception. Let's celebrate my freedom instead. The lights came back up. 200 people stared at Derek and Natasha. The silence was deafening. Derek's best man Trevor walked up to him slowly. Dude, what the hell did you do? I can explain, Derek started. Explain what? Trevor's voice was disgusted. We just watched you cheat on your fiance for 6 months. We heard you plan to use her family. There's nothing to explain. Derek turned to me, his eyes desperate. Camila, please. Let's talk about this. In private. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, Derek. We're done. You can't do this. You can't humiliate me like this in front of everyone. You humiliated yourself. I just made sure everyone could see it. Simone appeared at my side, folder in hand. Derek Thompson, you're being served. She handed him 2 documents. The first is notice that your engagement to Camila Rodriguez is terminated, effective immediately. Per the contract you signed with her father, you have 30 days to repay the $200,000 investment, or ownership of your company transfers to the Rodriguez family. Derek's face went gray. What? The second document is a restraining order. You are not to contact Camila, her family, or anyone associated with her for 30 days. Violation will result in legal action. This is insane. Derek looked around wildly. Dad, do something. Derek's father stood up slowly. He looked at his son with disappointment I'd never seen before. You did this to yourself, boy. You made your choices. Now you live with them. He took Derek's mother's hand and walked out of the venue. One by one, Derek's family and friends followed. Some glared at him. Some shook their heads. Some looked at me with respect. Natasha stood frozen in her white dress, tears streaming down her face. I believed you. You said you loved me. I do love you, Derek said desperately. Tash, please. You used me to hurt her. And you used her to get money. You don't love anyone but yourself. She turned and ran out, heels clicking on the marble floor. Soon the ceremony space was half empty. Derek stood alone at the altar, his perfect tuxedo suddenly looking ridiculous. His face was red, his eyes were wild, and his hands were shaking. He looked at me one last time. I did love you, Camila. I really did. No, Derek. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. He opened his mouth to respond, but Simone stepped between us. The restraining order is in effect. You need to leave now. Derek looked around at the remaining guests, mostly my family and friends. No one was on his side. No one was defending him. This isn't over, he said. Yes, it is. Security guards, arranged by my father, appeared at the doors. Derek had no choice. He walked out of the venue, shoulders slumped, defeated. The room stayed quiet for 30 seconds after he left. Then my father started clapping. Slowly, others joined in. Soon, the remaining 100 guests were applauding, standing, cheering. Patricia, the wedding coordinator, appeared at my side with a microphone. She was crying but smiling. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen. Are you okay? I'm perfect, I said. And I meant it. I took the microphone and addressed the crowd. Thank you all for being here. I know this wasn't the wedding you expected. But I want you to know, I'm okay. Actually, I'm better than okay. Today I saved myself from a life of lies. And I hope if any of you ever find yourself in a similar situation, you'll remember that you're worth more than someone who uses you. More applause. Some people were crying. Others were cheering. Now, I said, Patricia worked very hard on a reception. There's food, music, and an open bar. I paid for all of it and I'll be damned if it goes to waste. So please join me in celebrating not a wedding but freedom. The crowd erupted. People rushed forward to hug me, to tell me I was amazing, to say they'd always suspected something was off about Derek. My mother wrapped me in her arms. My brave girl. My father kissed my forehead. That's my daughter. Jordan appeared, grinning. 'Cause you're a legend. That presentation played perfectly. The bridesmaids surrounded me, all talking at once, hugging me, wiping their own tears. You did it, Simone said. You really did it. We did it, I corrected. All of us. As guests filed into the reception space, I took one last look at the empty altar. The screen was dark now. The flowers were still beautiful. The candles still glowed. It should have been my wedding. Instead, it was my liberation. And I'd never felt more free. The reception hall looked exactly as I'd planned it. Round tables with ivory linens, gold chargers at each place setting, centerpieces overflowing with white roses and orchids. The dance floor gleamed under soft lighting. The DJ booth was ready. The bar was fully stocked. But instead of celebrating a marriage, we were celebrating my escape from one. I stood at the entrance and watched as guests filtered in. Some looked shell-shocked. Others looked exhilarated. My cousin Maria approached me, her eyes wide. Camila, that was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Are you sure you're okay? I've never been better. And it was true. Now that the moment had passed, now that Derek was gone and the truth was out, I felt lighter than I had in months. The weight of his lies, the stress of pretending everything was fine, the fear of what would happen if I didn't speak up, all of it was gone. The DJ, who'd been briefed by Jordan, started playing Jordan's special playlist. The first song, I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. People laughed and started dancing. My father pulled me onto the dance floor for what should have been the father-daughter dance. Instead of a slow, emotional waltz, we danced to a disco anthem about surviving betrayal. You handled that perfectly, Mija, he said as we danced. I'm so proud of you. I learned from the best, Dad. You taught me to always have a backup plan. That I did. He smiled. And that contract Derek signed? That was my backup plan for you. I know. Thank you. As the song ended, more people joined us on the dance floor. The party was actually happening. People were laughing, drinking, celebrating. What should have been the most humiliating day of my life had turned into a triumph. Simone found me by the bar. Camila, you have a visitor. Who? Derek's mother. My stomach dropped. Mrs. Thompson stood near the entrance, looking small and defeated. She'd always been kind to me, welcoming me into their family, excited about the wedding. Now she looked devastated. I walked over to her. Mrs. Thompson. Camila, She started crying. I had no idea. I swear to you, we had no idea what he was doing. I believe you. What he did, using you, planning to take your family's money, cheating on you, it's unforgivable. She wiped her eyes. I raised him better than this. I thought I raised him better. It's not your fault. He's my son. Of course it's my fault. She took my hands. I just wanted you to know that his father and I support you completely. The things we heard today, the way he talked about you, that's not the son we thought we had. Thank you for telling me. We're not going to help him pay back the money. If he wants to keep his company, he'll have to find another way. He needs to face the consequences of what he's done. After she left, I felt Tanya's hand on my shoulder. You okay? Yeah. That was hard, but I'm okay. The reception continued. Guests came up to me one by one, expressing their support. Derek's business partners, the ones my father had introduced him to, made a point of telling me they'd be cutting ties with Derek. We don't do business with people like that, one of them said. My college friends formed a circle around me, dancing and laughing and making sure I never felt alone. The bridesmaids took 1,000 photos, not of a bride at her wedding, but of a woman celebrating her freedom. Around 8 p.m. as the party was in full swing, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello. Camila, it's Natasha. I stepped outside onto the venue's terrace for privacy. What do you want? I needed to say I'm sorry. Her voice was thick with tears. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know what I did was wrong. But I thought, Derek told me? He told you the marriage didn't mean anything. Yes. He said you were together for convenience, that he didn't love you, that once he secured his business stuff he was going to leave you anyway. He made it sound like I was helping him escape an unhappy situation. I laughed bitterly. And you believed him? I wanted to believe him. We dated for 5 years before you. When you two got engaged, I was devastated. Then he reached out and he said all the right things and I fell for it. You knew he was engaged, Natasha. You knew what you were doing. I know. I'm not trying to excuse it. I just wanted you to know that I heard the recording today. I heard him call me a temporary distraction. I heard him say the plan was to use you and then figure out what to do about me later. He lied to both of us. He did. I spent 6 months believing we were soulmates reconnecting. That he was making a sacrifice by marrying you but would eventually choose me. And the whole time I was just another pawn in his game. I didn't respond. Part of me felt vindicated that Natasha now understood Derek's true nature. Another part of me felt nothing but exhaustion. I'm leaving town, Natasha said quietly. I can't stay here after this. Everyone knows what I did. My family, my friends, everyone saw that presentation. I'm going to stay with my sister in Atlanta for a while. Okay. I hope someday you can forgive me. Not now, obviously, but someday. I don't know if I can forgive you, Natasha, but I don't wish you harm. I just wish you'd made better choices. After we hung up, I stood on the terrace for a while looking at the city lights. Inside, I could hear music and laughter. My wedding reception transformed into something completely different. Simone joined me outside. That was Natasha? Yeah. She's leaving town. Good riddance. She sounded broken, Simone. Derek lied to her too. She still made the choice to sleep with your fiancé. I don't care what lies he told her, she knew it was wrong. I know. We stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Simone said, How are you really feeling? Under all the brave face. I thought about it. Angry, relieved, sad, vindicated. All of it at once. That's fair. I really loved him, you know. Or I loved who I thought he was. The person he pretended to be. That person doesn't exist. I know. But it still hurts. Simone hugged me. You did the right thing today. Not everyone would have had the courage to do what you did. I didn't have a choice. If I'd married him, if I'd found out later, it would have been so much worse. You saved yourself. And you sent a message to every other person who thinks they can use someone and get away with it. Back inside, the party had shifted into high gear. Someone had brought out the wedding cake, a 5-tier masterpiece with ivory fondant and sugar flowers. Patricia had been about to cancel the delivery, but I'd told her to keep it. It's paid for, I'd said. And I love cake. Now, my father was helping me cut into it while everyone sang. Not congratulations but Happy Freedom Day, which someone had made up on the spot. The cake was delicious. I ate 3 slices. Around 10 p.m. I finally sat down, my feet aching from dancing in heels. My mother sat next to me, her hand in mine. Your grandmother would have been proud, she said. She always said Rodriguez women don't let anyone walk on them. I miss her. She's here. In spirit. Probably cheering the loudest. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Frank, the private investigator. Camila just wanted to check in. Saw the news about your wedding. Word travels fast in this city. News? Oh, you don't know? Someone recorded part of the presentation and posted it online. It's going viral. My stomach dropped. Viral. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. People are calling you a hero. There are memes. Hashtags. You're famous. Oh God. Don't worry, it's all positive. People are impressed that you stood up for yourself so publicly. You're getting marriage proposals from strangers. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is insane. Just giving you a heads up. Your phone's probably about to explode with messages. He was right. Within minutes, notifications started flooding in. Friend requests, messages, tags. My social media was blowing up. Jordan found me and showed me his phone. 'Cause you're trending. Hashtag wedding revenge is number 3 on Twitter. This is a nightmare. Are you kidding? This is amazing. You're an icon. Over the next hour, the story spread further. News sites picked it up. Bride exposes cheating groom at their own wedding. Woman's epic revenge goes viral. She said, I do, to ending the marriage before it started. My phone rang constantly. Interview requests. Podcast invitations. Someone wanted me to write a book. Turn it off, Simone advised. Deal with it tomorrow. I powered down my phone and focused on the party. My party. My celebration. Around midnight, the venue was still full. People didn't want to leave. They were having too much fun celebrating with me. The DJ played, Since You've Been Gone, and everyone sang along, pointing at me during the chorus. Christina pulled me aside. You know what the best part of today was? What? Watching Derek's face when he realized he'd lost everything. The money, the connections, the respect, all of it gone in 20 minutes. He did it to himself. Exactly. And now he has to live with that. As the party finally wound down around 1 a.m., I stood in the empty reception hall. Flowers wilted slightly in their vases. Cake crumbs littered the tables. My shoes were abandoned under my chair. I looked beautiful and terrible all at once. My dress was still perfect, but my makeup was smudged from crying and laughing and dancing. My hair had fallen out of its careful updo. I looked like someone who'd survived a war. Which, in a way, I had. Simone, Christina, and I checked into a hotel suite as planned. We ordered room service, burgers, fries, chocolate cake. We put on pajamas and sprawled across the huge bed. To Camila, Christina said, raising her soda. Who became a legend today? To freedom, I corrected. We clinked glasses and ate and watched terrible reality TV until we couldn't keep our eyes open. Before I fell asleep, I thought about Derek. Where was he right now? What was he thinking? Was he angry? Embarrassed? Did he understand what he'd lost? Did he regret it? But mostly I thought about myself. I'd stood in front of 200 people and refused to be used. I'd taken control of my own story. I'd chosen myself. And that felt pretty damn good. I woke up Sunday morning to my phone vibrating nonstop. I turned it back on to check the time and immediately regretted it. 300 notifications. 50 missed calls. Dozens of text messages. Simone rolled over and groaned. Please tell me it's not already time to face reality. It's definitely reality time. Christina emerged from the bathroom. Okay, I've been scrolling through social media for the past hour. You need to see this. She showed me her phone. My story had exploded overnight. The hashtag wedding revenge was now #1 trending worldwide. Someone had created a highlights video showing just the most dramatic moments. Derek's face when the presentation started, Natasha trying to run, the audio recording of Derek saying I was convenient. The video had 40 million views. 40 million, I said weakly. People. It gets better, Christina said. Or worse depending on how you look at it. There are think pieces. Articles about women standing up to cheaters. Someone started a GoFundMe to support Camila's fresh start, which has already raised $10,000. What? I don't need money. I know. But people are inspired. They're calling you a hero. Look at these comments. She scrolled through thousands of responses. This woman is my new role model. Every person who's been cheated on is living vicariously through her right now. Derek Thompson is officially the most hated man on the internet. I hope she takes everything from him. Simone sat up and checked her own phone. Oh boy. Camila, you have 17 interview requests. Good Morning America wants you on Monday. The Today Show wants a full segment. There's a podcast called Revenge Stories that's offering $5,000 for an exclusive interview. I'm not doing interviews. Probably smart. Let the story fade naturally. But the story didn't fade. By Monday morning it had grown even bigger. Derek's company, Future Tech Solutions, put out a statement saying they were investigating the matter. By Monday afternoon, 3 of his business partners had publicly pulled their investments. By Monday evening, Derek's company was essentially dead. My father called me that afternoon. Mija, Derek tried to pay back the $200,000. He did. He tried. He offered $50,000 immediately and a payment plan for the rest. I declined. Why? Because the contract was clear. Full repayment within 30 days, or I take the company. No payment plans. He agreed to those terms when he signed. So what happens now? Now I own 60% of Future Tech Solutions. Which, given the current situation, isn't worth much. But I'll liquidate the assets and get our money back eventually. I'm sorry you lost your investment. Mija, I lost $200,000 but saved my daughter from a terrible marriage. That's a trade I'd make every time. On Tuesday I went back to work. I'd taken Monday off to recover, but I couldn't hide forever. I worked as a marketing consultant for a mid-sized tech firm, and I'd been dreading facing my coworkers. But when I walked into the office, everyone started clapping. Camila. My boss Sharon came over and hugged me. We saw the whole thing. You were amazing. You're not embarrassed to have me here? Embarrassed? Are you kidding? You're the talk of the industry. 3 clients called yesterday asking if you were available for consultations. You're famous. And I was. Somehow, my wedding disaster had become a marketing asset. Companies wanted to work with someone bold and fearless. My professional reputation had actually improved. By Wednesday, I'd received 27 job offers, including one from a consulting firm in New York that offered double my current salary. You should take it, Simone said when I showed her the offer. Fresh start. New city. New life. I'm not running away. It's not running. It's choosing yourself. Again. I thought about it. New York. A new job. A chance to rebuild somewhere Derek had never touched. I'll think about it. On Thursday, Derek violated the restraining order. I was at my apartment when my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw him standing there, disheveled and desperate. He'd lost weight. His hair was messy. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I didn't open the door. Derek, you need to leave. The restraining order. Please, Camila. Just 5 minutes. I need to explain. There's nothing to explain. I saw the evidence. I heard the recordings. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But I love you. I really do love you. You love what I represented. Money. Connections. Status. That's not the same thing. No, I love you. The real you. Camila, please just let me in so we can talk. I'm calling the police. I did. They arrived within 10 minutes and arrested Derek for violating the restraining order. He spent the night in jail. His lawyer called me the next morning. Ms. Rodriguez, my client is extremely sorry. He wasn't thinking clearly. He just wanted to apologize. He can apologize by staying away from me. He's willing to relinquish all claims to the business. He'll sign over full ownership to your father. He just wants you to drop the restraining order violation charges. Tell Derek that my silence isn't for sale. He violated a court order. He can deal with the consequences. By Friday, 1 week after the wedding that never happened, my life had settled into a strange new normal. I was famous. I was single. I was in demand professionally. And I was actually happy. Simone, Tanya, Christina, Andrea, and Brittany came over for dinner. We ordered pizza and wine and sat around my apartment. So, Tanya said, what are you going to do with all this attention? I don't know. Ignore it? Wait for people to move on to the next viral story? Or, Andrea suggested, you could use it for something good. Like what? I don't know. Start a foundation for women leaving bad relationships? Write a book about recognizing manipulation? Give talks about self-worth? I'd never considered any of that. I just wanted to escape Derek and protect myself. I hadn't thought about helping others. That's actually not a terrible idea, Simone said. You have a platform now. You could do something meaningful with it. I'll think about it. But I was thinking about it. All weekend, I thought about the messages I'd received from women sharing their own stories of betrayal. How many people were stuck in situations like mine? How many felt they couldn't leave because they'd already sent the invitations, already put the deposit down, already told everyone they were getting married? On Monday, 2 weeks after the wedding, I made a decision. I accepted the New York job. I was moving in a month. But before I left, I had one more thing to do. I reached out to a women's shelter in town and donated $50,000, the money from the GoFundMe that strangers had created. For women who need to escape, I told the director. No strings attached. The shelter named a new wing after me. They called it the Rodriguez Freedom Center. And I started writing a book. Not about Derek specifically, but about recognizing manipulation, trusting your instincts, and choosing yourself even when it's hard. The book deal came through in March. The advance was substantial. Enough to fund the next 3 years of the women's shelter. I also started speaking at events. Universities, women's groups, corporate seminars. My message was simple. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's treatment of you. You deserve honesty, respect, and love. And if you're not getting those things, it's okay to walk away. By May, Derek had declared bankruptcy. His company was liquidated. My father got his $200,000 back plus interest. Derek moved back in with his parents, disgraced and broke. Natasha had stayed in Atlanta. I heard through mutual friends that she'd started therapy and was working through her own patterns of choosing unavailable men. I didn't wish her harm. But I didn't think about her much either. My life had moved on. In June I moved to New York. Simone helped me pack. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. I'm going to miss you. I'll visit. And you can come to New York anytime. This is the right move, Camila. You're building something better. And I was. My new job was challenging and exciting. My colleagues respected me. My apartment in Brooklyn was small but perfect. I was finally truly free. Orchestrated final chapter depicting protagonist healing and romantic redemption. I need to write chapter 10 now, the final chapter showing Camila's new beginning, her healing, and her eventual meeting someone new who treats her with respect. This should be uplifting and show that she's thriving. 6 months after the wedding that never happened, I stood in my Brooklyn apartment watching the sunrise over the city. The skyline was beautiful, all glass and steel catching the early morning light. My life in New York had become something I never expected, peaceful, purposeful, and entirely my own. My consulting firm, Rodriguez Strategies, had launched in August. I'd used the publicity from my wedding disaster to build a client base of companies wanting bold, honest marketing approaches. Turns out, standing up for yourself in such a public way had made me extremely marketable. You're the consultant who tells the truth, one CEO had said during our first meeting. That's rare in this industry. By September, I had 12 steady clients and had hired 2 junior consultants to help with the workload. The business was thriving. But more importantly, I was thriving. I'd started running in the mornings, something I'd never done before. There was something powerful about pushing my body, testing my limits, proving to myself that I was stronger than I thought. I'd also joined a book club, made friends with my neighbors, and started taking cooking classes just because I wanted to. For the first time in years, I was doing things just for me. Not to impress someone. Not to maintain a relationship. Just because I wanted to. The book I'd written, Worth More, Recognizing Your Value in Relationships, was scheduled to publish in December. My editor said advance orders were strong. Apparently, a lot of people wanted to read about standing up for yourself. I'd also become a regular speaker at women's events. Last week, I'd given a talk at a university about recognizing manipulation in relationships. A young woman had approached me afterward, crying. "Thank you," she'd said. "My boyfriend has been treating me like your ex treated you. Making promises while using me. I've been too scared to leave because we've been together 3 years. But hearing your story, I'm going to leave. I deserve better." Those moments made everything worth it. The embarrassment, the viral videos, the endless think pieces about my life. All of it was worth it if it helped even one person choose themselves. In October, I flew back home for my father's birthday. My family threw a big party and all my old friends were there. Simone, Tanya, Christina, everyone who'd stood by me through the wedding disaster. "You look different," Simone observed over drinks. "Happy. Actually happy. I'm happy. For the first time in a long time, I'm exactly where I want to be. New York suits you. It really does. I feel like I can breathe there. No one knows me as the girl from the viral wedding video. I'm just Camila. Have you dated anyone? I shook my head. Not yet. I'm not ready. And honestly, I'm enjoying being alone. Learning who I am without someone else's expectations. That's healthy. Take your time. But a week later something changed. I was at a business conference in Manhattan, presenting a workshop on authentic brand messaging. After my session, a man approached me. He was tall, well-dressed, with kind eyes and an easy smile. That was an excellent presentation, he said. I'm James Patterson. I run a nonprofit focused on financial literacy for underserved communities. Camila Rodriguez. Nice to meet you. I know who you are, he said, then quickly added, not from the wedding thing. Well, yes, I saw that. But I've been following your consulting firm. The work you're doing with authentic messaging is exactly what my nonprofit needs. We talked for an hour about his organization, about marketing strategies, about building trust with communities. He was intelligent, passionate about his work, and respectful. He didn't ask about Derek. He didn't mention the viral videos. He treated me like a professional with valuable expertise. At the end of our conversation, he handed me his business card. Would you be interested in consulting for us? I can't pay much, we're a nonprofit, but I think we could really use your perspective. I'd love to learn more. Email me some information about your organization. I will. Thank you, Camila. It was really great meeting you. After he left, Simone, who'd been watching from across the room, rushed over. Who was that? He was cute. A potential client. A potential client who looked at you like you were the only person in the room. Simone. I'm just saying. When he walked away, he looked back 3 times. That's interest, Camila. I laughed. He's interested in my consulting services. Sure. That's definitely it. But James did email me. And we did have meetings about his nonprofit. Professional, productive meetings where we discussed marketing strategies and community outreach. And then, after our 3rd meeting in November, he said, this might be forward, but would you want to grab dinner sometime? Not about work. Just dinner. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to say yes. James was kind, intelligent, successful in his own right, and he'd never once tried to use me for connections or money. He seemed genuinely interested in me as a person. But another part of me was terrified. What if I made another mistake? What if I missed red flags again? Can I think about it? I asked. Of course. Take all the time you need. That night I called Simone. James asked me out. The nonprofit guy? That's great. Is it? What if he turns out to be another Derek? Camila, not every man is Derek. Some people are actually honest and kind. How do I know the difference? You trust your instincts, and you watch for the signs you missed before. Derek kept secrets, had a history of cheating, rushed you into commitments. Does James do any of that? No. He's been completely transparent about his life, his work, his past relationships. He's patient. He's respectful. Then maybe give him a chance. You deserve happiness, Camila. You deserve someone who treats you well. I thought about it for 3 days. Then I texted James, dinner sounds nice. Friday? His response was immediate, perfect. I know a great Italian place in the village. 7 p.m.? See you there. Our first date was nice. Genuinely, simply nice. We talked about our families, our careers, our dreams. James told me about growing up in Boston, about his mother who taught him to always respect women, about his work helping low-income families build financial stability. I told him about my family, about starting my business, about my book. I didn't tell him everything about Derek. That felt like too much for a first date, but I was honest about learning to choose myself. That takes courage, James said. A lot of people stay in situations that hurt them because change is scary. It is scary. But being used is scarier. Agreed. He didn't try to kiss me at the end of the night. He just walked me to my subway stop and said, I had a really great time. Can we do this again? I'd like that. We went on 5 more dates in November. Coffee shops, museums, walks through Central Park. James was patient, never pushing for more than I was ready to give. He asked questions and actually listened to the answers. He shared his own vulnerabilities, a failed engagement 3 years ago, his struggles with anxiety, his relationship with his father. He was real, flawed, human, but honest about all of it. On our 6th date in early December, we were walking through Bryant Park's winter market when he stopped suddenly. Camila, I need to tell you something. My heart dropped. Here it comes. The revelation. The secret. The thing that would ruin everything. Okay, I said carefully. I really like you. Like a lot. And I know you've been hurt before. I don't know all the details, but I know enough to understand you're careful about trusting people. So I want to be clear with you about something. What? I'm not dating anyone else. I haven't been since we met. I'm not interested in anyone else. And if you want to take this slow, I'm completely fine with that. If you need to take breaks or need space or need reassurance, I can do that. I wanted you to know where I stand. Full transparency. I stared at him. That's it? That's what you needed to tell me? Yeah. Is that okay? I started laughing. Not mean laughter, but relieved, joyful laughter. Yes, James. That's very okay. That's exactly what I needed to hear. He smiled. Good. Because I really like you and I don't want to mess this up. I really like you too. That night we had our first kiss. It was gentle, respectful, and made me feel something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. My book published in mid-December. The launch party in New York was packed with supporters, clients, friends, and media. James came and stood in the back, watching me give my speech about self-worth and choosing yourself. Afterward, he came up and hugged me. I'm so proud of you. This is incredible. Thank you for being here. Wouldn't miss it. That week, Worth More hit the bestseller list. I did interviews, podcasts, speaking events. The story of my canceled wedding came up occasionally, but now I had more to talk about. The business I'd built, the foundation I'd started, the message I was spreading about self-worth. Derek had become a footnote in my story, not the main plot. On Christmas Eve, James and I were at his apartment, cooking dinner together. His mother had sent her famous lasagna recipe, and we were attempting to recreate it. I think we're supposed to layer the noodles differently, James said, squinting at the handwritten recipe card. Your mother's handwriting is impossible to read. I know. It's part of her charm. We laughed and kept cooking, flour on our clothes, sauce on our hands, completely content in the moment. Later, sitting on his couch with plates of slightly burnt lasagna, James said, I've been thinking about something. What? A year ago, where did you think you'd be right now? I thought about it. A year ago, I'd been planning my wedding to Derek. I thought I'd be married, maybe pregnant, building a life with someone who was secretly planning to use and discard me. I thought I'd be married, I said honestly. Living in my hometown. Probably miserable, even if I didn't know it yet. And instead, I'm in New York. I have my own business. I wrote a book. I'm helping other people recognize their worth. And I'm sitting here with someone who actually respects me. James took my hand. For what it's worth, I think this version of your life is better than what you planned. It's definitely better. I didn't know it could be like this. That I could feel this safe with someone. You can always feel safe with me, Camila. I promise you that. And I believed him. Not blindly the way I'd believe Derek. But carefully with my eyes open, watching for actions that matched his words. And so far they always did. On New Year's Eve, I stood on a rooftop in Brooklyn with James, watching fireworks over Manhattan. The city sparkled below us, full of possibility and promise. What are you hoping for this year? James asked. I thought about everything that had happened in the past year. The betrayal, the humiliation, the anger, the fear. But also the strength, the growth, the freedom, the joy. I'm hoping for more of this, I said, gesturing at the city at us. More honesty. More growth. More choosing myself and people who choose me back. That sounds perfect. At midnight, as fireworks exploded overhead, James kissed me and whispered, Happy New Year, Camila. Happy New Year. And it would be. Not because everything was perfect, but because I was finally building a life based on truth, respect, and genuine love. I was no longer the woman who got used and walked away. I was the woman who stood up, spoke out, and rebuilt stronger. Derek had tried to make me smaller to fit his plans. Instead, I'd grown bigger than he ever imagined. And that was the best revenge of all. Not destroying him, but building something beautiful from the ashes of what he'd burned down. I looked out at the New York skyline, at the new year spreading before me, and smiled. This was my life now. My choice. My freedom. And it was worth more than any wedding could have been.